Get ready with me while I tell you my Tinder nightmare story time. So first, I gotta tell you how this starts. Basically, one day, me and my friend were hungry for snacks and we wanted to go to the gas station, but it was late at night. We ended
Just when you thought this dating shit couldn't get any worse, it does. Stand by for this one. So this is a few years back when Fortnite was like kind of new, kind of not. My roommate at the time got me into it. Well, over the course of a few months, there was some hot chick.
I went on a date with an Indian man and it was the worst experience of my life. You won't believe who he invited on our date. So this happened while I was living and dating in New York City. Matched with this cute Indian guy on Tinder, very smart, successful, and on a few dates. And in the beginning, he was very upfront and straightforward with me. And he told me that he was best friends with one of his exes. He told me that his family was friends with her family and that at one point they tried to set up an arranged marriage with them, but there was just no chemistry or attraction. Usually I'm the jealous type, but I decided to let this go because he was really, really nice. So cut to a couple weeks later, he invites me to go and meet his friends for the first time, which I thought was like a really huge step for us. We were all going to go do karaoke in K-Town. So he reserved a room.
Okay, here's a little dating horror story for you guys. So one time I was dating this guy and I was at his place and we had a couple of glasses of wine and I drove to his place. So he was like, okay, well, you're not going to drive home now, so you can stay the night. And at this stage, like, we'd never had a sleepover before. It was time to go to bed and we were in the bathroom brushing our teeth. And then all of a sudden he stops brushing his teeth and he goes, oh, wait, before you stay the night, there's one thing you need to do. And I was like, random? Yeah, what is it? He points to the scales and goes, step on that. And I stood there like mortified. I was like, what? Like, is there a weight restriction? Like, do I have to make sure my BMI is in the green to be allowed to stay over the night? Like, what? I just laughed it off. Like, that was so funny.
So I was on a date last night, more specifically a Yochi date. And I'm going to keep this short and sharp because I know people like to keep their Yochi date stories quite long and they drag them out a little bit. So anyways, pick up my friend for the night. All goes well. Gets in the car, chatting, all sweet, no awkward tension. I'm like, sweet, this is going so well, loving it. Chemistry's there. Pull into Yoch, stroll in. I grab the normal size cup, right? Like the small one. That's all you need. Anything else, outrageous. Middle cup, if you're grabbing that, it's like, okay, you must be really hungry. The big cup, that's just outrageous. That's just simply like, you don't need that much. That's just a gluttonous amount of frozen yogurt.
I need to say this out loud because I just can't believe that it actually happened. So I went on a date last week with a guy and the date didn't go good. He was just giving hater number one, like couldn't be happy for anything that I said or anything that I was doing, didn't give me like a single compliment or anything. There's so much more to it that I'll explain if somebody wants because it's honestly really bad. But after the date, I just decided like he was so fucking rude. I don't really owe him to talk to him again. So I stopped talking to him and that was 5 days ago. Then yesterday he DM'd me a video on TikTok. He doesn't even follow me on TikTok or anything. And it was this guy talking about how all women are crazy and we act through emotions and we just can't think logically because we're such emotional beings. And when you sign up to be a boyfriend, that's what you're signing up for. You're not signing up to be a therapist or listen to your girlfriend's cries for help. And I was just like, I can't believe he sent that to me. Like that's really weird, right?
So you guys want to know what happened to the Tulum guy? Well, let me tell you, we went on 4 dates. It went really well. First date, we went to dinner, which you guys saw. Then we went to a cenote and then dinner afterwards. Third date, we also went to dinner. And then fourth date, we went for coffee. I felt something was off when we went for coffee. I don't know what happened, but he basically ghosted me. Not basically, he did. So things were going super well. Conversation was amazing. Banter was so good. I think what happened, and like maybe not the case, but like again, I haven't spoken to him, so this is just what my take is on it, is that a friend of mine who's good friends with him was like, oh my god, he's amazing, he's not at all. She was like, he's healthy, masculine, and I was like, okay, very rare for Tulum. But even though he's not a F-boy, I think
he wants to hear the story about the guy that I was seeing who was also seeing his sister. I meet this guy on Hinge, okay? He's gorgeous. Like, he looks just like Leo from Tell Me Lies, okay? Gorgeous. So he drives 2 hours to take me on our first date. And we had been talking for a couple weeks at this point. And this is right before or right after my divorce. So like, I would never do this now. I would never do this now. But I was like, okay, like, why don't you just like stay the night after our date? Girl, be so real. Do you think that's a good idea? No. I'll call him Tony. That's not his name. I was like, I opened my door, I said, Tony. And he looks up and starts skipping stairs to get to me. And he gives me a big hug and he has flowers. He was like, I'm so excited to like actually see you. And I was like, me too. And I was like, I'm finishing getting ready, like come in, whatever. He takes me to dinner. He has a really nice car. He takes me to a very nice restaurant. I'm like, okay, this guy has his life together. He had got.
So I give him my number, and I'm kind of excited because I'm single. I'm like super single. And I thought, ooh, he's cute. Like, he seems really nice. I met him at church, so hello. He's got to be a good guy. I met him at church. He seemed like he was intently paying attention to the sermon. So he hits me up because I gave him my number. He hits me up probably like literally a couple hours later and was like, hey, yeah, like whenever, you want to show me around the city, like let me know. So I'm like, okay, that sounds great. And I had decided, I had been really, really wanting to go on a hike. And he somehow, I don't even know how we were talking about it, but basically he was like, I'm going to Joshua Tree and I'm going with a buddy of mine. If you want to come with us, that would be awesome. And I was like, yes, I've never been to Joshua Tree. I wanted to go hiking and this sounds like fun. So he's like, cool, we can go this Sunday. So a couple days went by. I'm getting ready to go. He keeps texting me, telling me he's excited and he's so excited to get to know me, get to know the city, all these things. And so I wear like a cute little top, some black yoga pants, got my water bottle, got all my stuff ready to go. He picks me up. His buddy wasn't with him. And so the first thing I was like, oh, you said your friend was coming. He said, oh, he's going to drive separately. He's a little farther up north with another friend of ours. So he's just going to meet us there. And I was like, okay.
I've got an update in disaster. I know by this point you're thinking, crikey, how many dates you been on? 3 years worth of dates here, guys. And she's still single. You gotta laugh or you'll cry. It's self-comfortable for this one. This was my first date in 3.5 years. I was terrified. There I was putting on 10 million outfits, looking in the mirror thinking I hate them all. Why can I not just pick an outfit for this date? We were literally just going to a bar. And this is when you know that I didn't know who I was back then. Because would I go to a date to a bar now? Hell no. I'll save the bars for the girlies when we want to go for a little drink. Anyway, this guy was a friend of a friend. I know what you're thinking. Oh, thank God she's not on those apps. Anyway, we met up. He offered to pick me up. At this time, I didn't feel safe doing that. We just about had a phone call, so I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm actually just going to go on my own. I rock up to the car park. I said, where are you? Well, let's just say I didn't need to look in the car park. I got out my car and I jumped out of my skin. This guy had honked his horn at me to the England. He honked his horn to the England chain. You know the one? England. I went beetroot red. I was in the car park thinking, what on earth is going on? You want to bet everyone was looking. And I actually don't like having attention on me. In public, you want to bet I'm there. I'm the girl with the head down. Bearing in mind this guy is a total stranger, guys. I've never met him and that is the first thing he does. Looking back, it is actually quite funny, but at the time, oh my goodness me, I wanted to cry. You know when you want the floor to...
More Storytime lore about one of my college ex-boyfriends because every time I tell a story about him, it gets... because the shit is just that crazy. So he had this girl that was like his really, really good friend, right? And he was good friends with her. Like they would always text and talk. Like they were from the same hometown. And I was like, all right, any friend of yours is a friend of mine, chilling. Like I never personally made contact with her, but I was just like, all right, whatever. And then one time I vividly remember we were sitting at like an Italian restaurant eating like a late lunch or something. And he was like, oh my God, like her boyfriend just cheated on her. Like I just heard through the grapevine, they just broke up. Like her long-term boyfriend, I feel so bad. I'm going to shoot her a text. And I'm like, babe, that's so nice of you. So he texts her like, hey, oh my God, like I'm so sorry. Like I heard about this, like he doesn't deserve you. And I was like, oh my God, babe, like you're so sweet. Like how sweet of you to like, reach out and like encourage her and send her just like a sweet text. So yeah, then he just starts acting really sketchy, really, really sketchy for like the next 2 weeks. And then it gets to a point that he's like, her and I have been talking a lot, like poor thing, like I feel really bad. Like she was still in high school also. Keep in mind, this girl was in high school and we were in college. And he was like, I think, she might want to come to our university. Like she needs a tour guide. Like she's going to fly out and visit. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so fun. Like, have her fly out and like we can take her out and like I'll take her out with a bunch of girls from my sorority or something. Like, we'll have a good grand old time. Keep in mind, this motherfucker lived in a loft. Like it had no walls. Like the bedroom, you could see into the bedroom from the kitchen practically. The only room that was walled off was the bathroom, okay? And the closet. Other than that, like everything was open in the layout of this loft. Like there was no separate rooms. And he was like, yeah, like, so she's gonna come and she's gonna stay with.
Okay, so here's one of my first date nightmares, okay? This is a true story. So this girl invites me over, right? She says, you want to come to my place? I'm going to cook. We're going to eat. Awesome. I love to eat. Sure, I'll show up. Knock on the door. She opens the door. What am I greeted with? A really, really bad stench. Okay, I don't pay that too much mind. She's pretty hot. We're going to keep pushing forward with this. Okay, so I get in there and I realize that the smell is ammonia. She's got like 6 cats. She didn't tell me she had a cat. But all right, we'll let it go. She's pretty good looking. Okay. So we sit down at the table and start having dinner, right? We're hitting it off. We're talking, drinking some beers, smelling cat piss, whatever. She cooked pasta. I was eating pasta. And so in the middle of eating, this cat jumps up on the dinner table. Okay. I look over at the cat. Just jumped up on the dinner table. I look over at the cat. I look back at her. She didn't miss a beat. Kept talking. So obviously this is the norm. That's kind of weird. But I'm just going to let it go, okay? Because she's pretty good looking. All right, so the cat walks by me. It's facing her now. Its asshole is facing me. Its asshole is 6 inches away from my fucking plate. 6 inches. The cat's asshole is right next to my plate. So at this point, I'm questioning the cleanliness of the utensil I'm using, the food itself, the plate, the chair I'm sitting in, everything. I'm thinking, damn, this bitch is fucking nasty. Okay. Anyway, so I grabbed the cat and I put it on the floor. And I said, the cat's ass is right next to my plate. You know, it's fucking nasty or whatever. And she goes, dude, my cats are family. Don't treat my cats like that. My cats are family. Okay. So make a long story short, we end up going to her bedroom. We did the deed. I spent the night, woke up with the worst pink eye you've ever seen in your life. I had to go to the doctor twice.
This is the story time of the worst date that I've been on in my entire life. Let's call this guy Edwin because that was his name. So Edwin and I had been on only 2 dates and we were talking for like less than like 3 weeks. He was a really nice guy. Like after our first date, it was my birthday a week later and he gave me like champagne and roses, just like randomly dropped them off at my apartment. So I was like, he's a vibe. So Edwin and I are planning our 3rd date and he's like, oh, it's your turn to pamper me. Immediately I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, this date's on you. Like you're gonna plan it, you're gonna pay for it, you're gonna do everything. And I'm like, because I'd assume that's a fucking joke. So I keep saying to him, I'm like, you're so funny. But I go ahead and I like book the date. I just book one of like my favorite sushi spots. And I'm like, he's like not gonna make me pay. That'd be absolutely insane. Listen, I would not mind paying for a date if I was in a relationship with somebody. Not when I'm going on the 3rd fucking date and you're supposed to impress me to try and get in my pants. So the whole week we're talking about this and he's like, can't wait for your treat. And now I'm starting to get fucking triggered because in my past relationships, I was like the breadwinner. So I always paid for fucking everything and I dated losers. So they expected me to pay for everything. So we get to the sushi restaurant. Everything's going great. And then they're like, oh, what do you guys want to drink? Like the waiter's like, what do you guys want to drink? And he's like, ooh, I'm gonna get something fancy because Livy's paying today. What? So then I'm like, okay, Livy, time to be vulnerable. Let him know about your past. So I let him know. I'm like, hey, like, just so you know, this is really triggering me because I was used in my past relationships because I was the breadwinner. So this is like super triggering for me. And if this is like a joke to you, it's really not funny. He's like, I'm not kidding. And I'm like, what? He's still kidding. So the bill comes. And he slides it my way. And he's like, here you go. Man, if you're watching, there's nothing that makes a woman drier in the entire world than you like literally sliding the bill towards her. Like, that's pathetic. But I say, fuck it. You know what? If I'm going to pay like a baller. So I pull out like hundreds. Go to part 2.
So this guy asked me on a date, and when I tell you he was hot, like, I mean, he was hot. Tall, blue eyes, brown hair, literally exactly my type. So of course I said yes. I mean, I was excited. So anyways, he was like, let's go see a movie. And I know what you're thinking, because I was thinking the same thing. Like, a movie on the first date, like, how we're supposed to get to know each other. Plus, that's kind of sketch, because we all know why boys want to go see movies with girls. But me being stupid, I was like, okay, sounds great. Plus, I mean, this guy was so cute, and he seemed like he was just my type. So I was honestly willing to do anything at this point. Fast forward, it's the day of the date, and I text him and I'm like, hey, are you picking me up or are we meeting there? Honestly, kind of hoping that he would pick me up, because I mean, like, that's what, you know, guys should do. And he responded and was like, no, like, you can just meet me there. So I got in my car and I drove half an hour to the movie theater that he wanted to go to because it was closer to his house. And again, me being stupid. So I drive to the movie theater and I get there at 11:15 a.m., which was so weird. Like, we saw it in the morning. So I got there at 11:15 a.m., which is right when we said we were going to meet each other. So I'm just kind of sitting in my car in the parking lot, like, waiting for him to show up because I didn't know what kind of car he drove. About 15 minutes pass and there's still, like, no sign of this kid. So I text him, call him, no response. At this point, the movie is about to start and I'm still just waiting in this parking lot all by myself. I definitely should have just left, but like I said, this guy was really hot and I wasn't about to miss out. Finally, I get a text and it says I'm running late, be there in 5 minutes. 15 minutes later, he finally shows up and the movie has already started. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, he looked like crap. Like, he looked like he literally had just rolled out of bed. We go into the movie theater and he has me pay for my own ticket, which was kind of a red flag. And we go into the movie and it's a 3-hour movie about cars. And luckily it was already about 20 minutes into the movie, so I didn't have to sit there for the full 3 hours. And like, I was clearly pissed off at this point, but this boy started to try to make moves on me in the movie theater. I was so not having it. So finally the movie ended and he like tried to hug me goodbye and I just dodged the hug, got in my car and never spoke to him again. But funny thing, he still tries to hit me up to this day.
This is why I deleted my Tinder and why every single girl watching this needs to delete her Tinder too. This happened a few years ago and I honestly consider myself so incredibly lucky to be alive after experiencing this. I was living in New York City at the time and I matched with a guy. For the entire time we were talking, he was really aggressively trying to get me to go out with him. And eventually I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna let this guy take me out on a date. Maybe I'm just being judgmental. Maybe he's not being desperate. Maybe he's just putting in an effort. So the day of the date rolls around and he tells me that he wants to take me out to a restaurant that is a bit of a hidden gem and is a little bit outside of the city in an area of Westchester called Yonkers. And even though he offered to drive me, I was like, no, it's all good. I actually had my own car in New York City, so I agreed to meet up with him. Now, I feel like an absolute idiot because I didn't even Google this place before I went. So on the night of the date, I'm driving to this place. I put it into my GPS and it's really weird because as soon as I see it in the GPS, it says that the place is closed. So I text my date and I'm like, hey, I just put this place into the GPS and it is telling me that it is actually closed. To which he replies, oh no, don't worry. They're really bad at updating their hours. This is the part where I should have just been like, oh hell no, and I should have canceled the date. But somehow I decided it would be a good idea to get in my car and drive 40 minutes to Yonkers for a date with a guy. So after 40 minutes of driving in traffic, I arrive at this place in Yonkers. I pull up to the building and I quickly realize that there is nobody in the parking lot and that indeed this business is really closed. Not to mention my car is the only car in the parking lot. So I start to panic and as I look behind me to put my car in reverse, I notice another car pull up. This car pulls up right beside me. I don't even look at the person sitting in the car. I just simply back up out of that parking lot as fast as I can and I get the heck out of there. The entire way home, I am just looking in my rear view mirror to see if there's anyone behind me and thankfully there was not. And the craziest part of all of this is when I got home, I went back onto that dating app and I could see that the profile had unmatched with me. I never got a chance to screenshot that profile. I never learned the guy's last name, but I can't tell you guys how many times I've heard this happening to girls on dating apps. It's not worth it. Just delete it for your own safety. And if you are going to be on dating apps, please always make sure to get the person's last name and to meet in a place that you are familiar with.
One time in my 20s, I was dating a dude who sold his soul to the... And I didn't believe him at first. And then things just started getting super weird. So he would come over to my apartment And one night we had like this fight because he was doing some unsavory things. He wouldn't get a job, and I was working like 60 hours a week. He came over and we got in this big fight, and then we were like, I was like, let's just go to bed. Let's like sleep on this. Let's talk about it in the morning. I shit you not, I lay down, I close my eyes, I look up, and there are 4 like black beings swirling around my ceiling. I'm like, what the world? I look out towards my window. There's a male figure standing at my window. And I'm like, you guys, so I've seen ghosts before, so I was like, you all are not welcome here. You need to leave. Get out. Blah, blah. And really creepy in this like really, I'm going to try to do it, voice. He was like, they're here for me. They're upset for me that you're treating me the way you are. And I knew at that point he wasn't fucking kidding when he said that. He sold his the so he's like getting really angry with me because I'm telling his friends, demons, to leave. And I look over to my window, or I look over to my door of my room that is cracked open, and there is, and I've never seen this before in my life, my blood ran cold. I haven't seen it since. This is the first time ever. There is a half man with like a goat's face or something with like the ram ears. I don't know what it was, like the ram horn things, standing with like red eyes, standing in my door frame, and I'm literally still getting chills to this day. This has been 10, 12 years, and I still am shocked by what happened. And so I'm like, I tell the guy, I say, I am so sorry. I love you. Like, I was mad. I didn't mean any of it. Like, absolutely. And yeah, when we broke up, I had to get a hotel room and stay out of my house because I was scared he would kill me, because he said he would kill me if I left him. So super good, but that is insane, right? Woo!
Have y'all seen the story about the lady who went on a date and they went out, had a nice time, whatever, left the date, she goes home, he goes home, she gets a call or a text or whatever from him later saying that his apartment, he like locked himself out of his apartment, he couldn't get a hold of his roommate, and he didn't have anyone else to call, so he was asking her if he could stay at her house. She's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So he comes to her house. She makes up a bed for him on the couch. Then she goes to bed, locks her door, very smart. And everything's quiet, everything's fine. And then about 3 a.m., he comes and knocks on her door. And it's like, hey, my phone died. I need a charger. And she's like, without opening the door, she's like, yeah, there's a charger in the living room on the counter, or in the kitchen on the counter, or whatever. So he like walks away for a bit, comes back, knocks on her door again, and he's like, hey, the charger's not charging my phone. Do you have one in there? I guess she gets uncomfortable, whatever, calls the police. The police get there, she hears like a ruckus or like fumbling around or whatever in the living room. Then the police knocks on her door and is like, hey, you're safe, we got him apprehended, but we need you to come out and see the condition of your apartment. She comes out. This man had her apartment covered in plastic and tools laid out. What? So here's my takeaway. First of all, if somebody brand new in your life, friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, somebody brand new doesn't have anyone else to reach out to except for you, or anyone else they can ask help from except for you, red flag number 1. There were just so many red flags about this story. Like, seriously, I'm just in awe. Not blaming her, because you never know, but when she did start feeling a gut feeling, who knows if she felt it the whole time, but when she did start feeling it later on, she at least called the police, thank God, and she is safe. But man, that is just absolutely crazy.
Get ready with me as I tell you my craziest dating story in Dubai. I think it's gonna be kind of long, so honestly get some snacks and buckle in. I was dating this guy in Dubai who I really liked. Immediately we clicked and immediately I saw full long-term potential. We would be consistently talking on the phone, very openly and honestly. Our communication was really great. It was the start of a really healthy relationship. And even though I liked him so much and everything was going so well, deep down inside me, deep down, I knew he wasn't my soulmate. But because things were going so well, I had the thought in my mind, I don't know what's gonna break us up. Like, everything's going so well, I don't really know what it's gonna be. And then one day we're just chit-chatting on the phone and he starts talking to me about his coworkers. And in order for me to visualize them better, he sends me a group photo of like him and all of his coworkers. My first initial thought when I see this photo popped up onto my screen is, I've seen this photo before. And as I start looking closer at the photo, I see a guy that I used to date. And of course, the person that he wants to talk about in this photo is obviously the guy that I used to date. And he starts telling me a story about him. And I say, wait, hold up, before you finish the story, I have to tell you something. And I tell him exactly what had happened. Me and him started dating when I first moved to Dubai. It was nothing serious. We went out maybe a handful of times, and it was a mutual ghost, I'm pretty sure. And the words that came out of his mouth was words that I never ever expected. He tells me, Sophia, you know that he's married, right? And I'm like, you mean like he just got married? Like a few months ago? No, he's been married for a really long time and has 2 kids who live back in his home country. The way my heart dropped, oh my fucking god. You might be thinking that this is the crazy part in the story. It's not. He asked me, how did you not know that he was married? And I was like, dude, I would have never guessed in a million years. And I asked him, well, how close are you guys? Like, is this awkward to know that I dated him? He also asked me like how far we went in our dating, and I was very honest with him. We went far. I have to set the scene. When I first came to Dubai, I wasn't looking for like my one true love. I was mostly dating to get to know the lay of the land, like see how people operate here, and like just for funsies. And they used to be coworkers. They weren't anymore, but one time when this guy, the one that
I am in full disbelief that this just happened to me. I need everybody to listen and tell me if I'm crazy or if dating is like this with everybody, and like, are men okay? Because I really don't think they are. I met this man on a dating app. We went out one time and had such a good date. He did not follow up with like a second date, but to be fair, on the date we talked about like being kind of casual. We didn't want to get into anything serious very quickly, but like he didn't really follow up very well, and I had like a lot of free time that I like wanted to fill with doing stuff, so I had asked him like to hang out. Could not get this man on like a second date for the life of me. He was super busy, totally fair, just moved, just got a new job, like had friends in town, like all this stuff. So I'm giving him a free pass. I'm like, that's totally fine. I'm going out of town for like almost 2 weeks. So I'm like, I just like wanted to do something before I was gone forever, but all good, whatever, it is what it is. And then he texted me tonight. It's a Sunday night, and I was like, okay, period. He was like, what are you doing tonight? And I was like, well, I actually just got home from drinks with a friend, but I'm not doing anything. Like, and I'm like, it's Sunday night, but I'm down to do something. And he was like, oh, funny, I just got home from drinks with a friend too, like, and I responded, oh, so, like, another drink? And he was like, yeah, like, what are you thinking? And I was like, well, I know that these 2 places could be good or whatever, and, or we could go, like, get a bottle of wine, go to the beach, or, like, we could just go to someone's house. And he's like, I do have beer and wine, like, so, like, yeah, we could just go to someone's house. And I was like, well, I'm happy to come over. And then he doesn't respond. And this is not the crazy part. He's just like not responding. And I'm like, well, he's going to respond, I'm assuming. But like, it's taking him forever. And I'm like about to call him, because I'm like, maybe you thought like I would just somehow know how to get to your house. Like, I don't know. And then I'm literally this close to calling him. I need a confirmation. I can't just like start moseying over to like where he lives. I also don't really know where he lives. He writes me back and says, sorry, I've been having some internal deliberation. I don't know if I just laid down and I don't know if I have enough energy. You asked me to hang out, to come over. Like, I understand, okay, set your boundaries, babe. Like, do what you need to do, but don't ask me to hang out if you don't have energy for it. And then all I could muster up was, oh my God. All I could say back was, oh my God. And he was like, haha, I'm so sorry. Just relaying the truth. Sometimes you can lie. Sometimes you can take one for the team. Get up and do some jumping jacks. Get some energy, bro. And third of all, know thyself. Know thyself enough to know I might not have enough energy. Maybe I shouldn't ask her to hang out. He instigated. He texted me out of nowhere. We weren't even talking. I like, am I crazy? Is this crazy? Like, am I being too harsh? Because this seems, I mean, yeah, this is, I can't.
I'm so shocked right now. Okay, I already gave up the dating apps, but just let this be a warning to everyone out there who's still on them. Don't trust anybody. I know that sounds crazy and a little cynical, a lot cynical, but I've now had way too many experiences where I just think it's too easy to be this ideal person on those apps. And so many women get caught in these kind of traps where you're already 5-6 dates in and then they reveal their true colors and it's not what you signed up for. So I dated a guy last November and I really liked him. He was he was engaged like 6 months prior. And that's when they broke off their engagement like 6 months before we started dating. So he'd had some time to kind of like heal and reflect. He told me he was in therapy now still. They dated for a long time. So I kind of was like proceeding with caution because I knew, okay, there's no way this man is just fully healed and ready for a serious relationship again, which is what I'm looking for. But we got along really well. He was super funny, really cute. We just had so much in common. He was so chivalrous. I don't know, he just did everything right. But in the back of my head, I was kind of like, okay, this is going almost too well, you know? So I had doubts, but not really any proof to back it up. We went on 4 dates, and after the 4th date, I could just feel he was a little bit more distant, and I saw that he was still on all the apps. And like, I mean all the apps. He was on like 4 different dating apps. So I just told him, hey, you know, it's been really nice getting to know you. I think we're looking for different things here, and I'm just gonna take a step back. And he just didn't respond. I sent like a nice message, but I just like, I wasn't getting what I needed back. A few months later, I see him on Raya, or he sees me on Raya, and he messages me and is like, hey, I'm so sorry about the way things ended, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't in a great place. Hope you're doing well. Kind of hinting that he wanted to see me. And I was just like, wish you the best. I'm so sorry you were going through a hard time and I hope it's better now. But, you know, don't bring me into your mess. I had posted him in this group. I won't reveal the group, but the girls that know. It's a confidential group of women that you can post somebody and see if anyone's had negative dating experiences. It's mostly for like, you know, dangerous guys or like guys with girlfriends, those kind of dudes. So I'd posted him when we started dating and I didn't really hear anything. Months later, I get a message.
Here is the story of the shoe being thrown at my head. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, you should probably go watch the original video that this comment was left on. A lot of people in the comments asked me if the man in that story ever ended up apologizing or what happened after I left. And I've been trying to figure out a concise way to tell this story. I am going to try. When I was 24, I moved from LA to another city for a job. My original plan was to live alone, but a girlfriend of mine had just gone through a divorce and she also needed a new place to live. So we decided to get an apartment together. She came out to LA to stay with me for like a week before my move, and we had lined up a new apartment for when we got back. The day that we are to move into our apartment, we find out from the apartment there had been like flooding or issues with construction. Our apartment wasn't going to be ready for their 2 weeks, which meant that we were essentially homeless. He said, I have a friend who has this big house and he like never uses the basement, but there's a big bedroom down there. It has its own exit and entry. She had gotten divorced. He had like offered her his place if she ever needed it for a little bit, just as like a landing pad. I didn't really feel comfortable staying with someone that I didn't know, but I called around and didn't really have any other options. Wasn't in a financial place at the time to like go stay at a hotel for 2 weeks. And if you haven't guessed it by now, that is how I met the man that I went on this date with. We would kind of see him here and there during the day, or like if I got home at night, you know, he'd be there because it was his home. There was nothing weird. He wasn't pursuing me while I was living at the house. When we moved out of his house and into our place, can I help you? I know, baby, I'm trying to do TikTok. Can you wait? Thank you. I was working full time, and he had told us basically take your time moving your stuff. You don't need to get it all out right away. Move at your own pace, essentially. So at the time of the date, not all of my stuff was moved out of his house, thinking that this man was going to stay at this dinner for a while with his friends. Decided that I was going to go straight to the house and pack up the rest of my shit, that I did not have to engage with this person anymore after this date. I get to the house and I'm getting my things, and he shows up pretty quickly behind me, I might add. Like one bag left to get out of the house, and I realized that this man had driven home completely wasted, like an actual danger to other people. When he sees me, he like loses it, and I was like, I'm just here to get my stuff, I'm leaving. And he is like, don't worry about it, I'll leave. He like goes across the room to grab something and then heads back towards the door. So I went towards the door first because I was closer to it, and I grabbed his keys. It was very much an instinct in the moment to do that. Probably not the smartest thing I've ever done. Whatever. I decided to intervene, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take these. You should not leave the house in this condition, but if you do leave, it's not gonna be behind the wheel of a car. At which point he took off his shoe and threw it at my head. I don't know, hoping that I would like get out of the way. He could have just gone out the front door. I wasn't trying to keep him in the house. But anyway, I ended up taking his keys and like burying them in a plant pot outside, and then texting him where they were in the morning, and then blocked him. So I don't know. But there, that is the shoe story in all of its red flag, young, mistake, riddled glory. You're welcome.
I just got back from the worst date. Already there were some red flags, but when we first met, we hit it off, so I wanted to give it a shot. He was texting me things like, next Easter, we're gonna be doing this. Our second date, we should go here. We're on the phone today. He says, our firstborn is gonna be named this. I respond, sir, let's get through the first date. He turns it around on me, says, that's crazy you'd bring up baby names already. I didn't. I'm not crazy. Saying how he's gonna surprise me with where we're going for dinner tonight, but it's gonna be a steakhouse. He says wear something black and tight. Never gonna happen. I'm wearing something white and oversized because I've been through that. Not happening again. But I ask him if I should wear a dress. Is it fancy? He says if I want to. So I'm assuming it is. He says be ready for 6 and he'd call me an Uber. So I'm ready for 6, waiting on him to text me. No text. So I text him question marks at 6:15. He reprimands me, says, tisk, tisk, can't believe it took you so long to tell me you were ready. So starting it off on like a weird note. I finally get in the Uber he calls, but it's some random address and I can't figure out where I'm going on Google. So I ask him what the name of the restaurant is so I can meet him there. He won't tell me where we're going. He's like, just get out on the corner, wait for me. So I get out and I'm waiting on this random street corner. I see him get out of his apartment building and walk across the street, and so obviously he chose somewhere super close to him, which is fine, but then don't be late and make me wait for you. We go into the restaurant. It's the Keg. It is the Keg. Don't get me wrong, I love their food, but don't like actually get some big surprise and gonna be so fancy. I'm so embarrassed. I'm in my fur. I am in heeled Alexander Wang boots. Like I'm so embarrassed. We sit down, he starts talking about himself and doesn't stop for 15 minutes. Doesn't ask me a single question about myself. So finally I say, do you want to know anything about me? He says, I'd rather make my own opinion of you, and I think I already have one. Proceeds to tell me who I am as a person, even though he knows nothing about me. He lists the qualities, tells me I'm super close with my parents. I'm not talking to them right now, sir. We are estranged. Tells me I'm shy and submissive. Are we on the same date? Because I'm not. I'm like talking over him every time he interrupts me because I'm like, it's just so rude. Our appetizers come. I'm in the middle of a sentence. He puts a bite of food in my mouth, so I have to stop talking so he can talk. Like, it happened 3 times. So rude. Then he says how women should be submissive and men should always have the final decision, and that, you know, they're competent and women should just trust men. And boundaries are super important for men, but women should break them for men. So offensive, and just, no. He starts talking about money, which I hate on a first date because I just think it shows that a man's insecure. I'm not dating for money. I don't care how much you make as long as you're stable. But also, if you're painting yourself as this high roller like he was and like bragging about how much he pays when he goes to Miami for an Airbnb, it grosses me out. It's so unattractive, and I actually don't think you make that much working with DJs. I'm sorry. Then he says something sarcastic, and I didn't catch the sarcasm because we're still getting to know each other, obviously, and he makes me feel so dumb about it. He was just so rude about it. He's like, I can't believe you didn't catch that. That was obviously sarcasm. So I go to the bathroom because I'm just like trying to hit my emotional support vape and waste as much time as possible so I can leave. I should have just left like within 2 minutes because I knew I didn't like him, but I just get nervous. Every time I talk, I just see him staring at my body, and it makes me so uncomfortable, and it's like, you don't actually care what I have to say. And that's the problem with dating in Toronto is every single date that I go on, no man actually asks me a question. They don't care to get to know me. They see a woman and they think, she's my type. I would want her to look nice beside me, but I'm not actually gonna get to know her. I don't care to understand her. Finally, he asked me a question about myself. He says, what's your biggest turnoff? And I say, which is the truth. I tell him it's when people interrupt me and when people listen to respond and not understand. The rest of the date, he keeps interrupting me, but at least he acknowledges it. But then he just keeps talking every time over me. It's so rude. Finally, our steak comes. I have a couple bites. Tell him I gotta go. I have an early morning. I was in and out within an hour. I didn't even wait for our plates to be cleared. I was so done. And this man was just so unaware that I was having the worst time. I didn't smile once. And I'm just so over dating in the city. Every single boyfriend I've ever had here is the worst person you've ever met. I'm done.
Let's talk about the worst date I have ever been on. You're gonna want to hear this. This happens last year. I am living in Amsterdam for a couple of months. I am temporarily staying at my boss's place while she and her partner are in Portugal. Her place is very nice. It is street level, floor to ceiling windows. They open up to a pedestrian street where people park their bikes. It is beautiful. So I decide to download this app called Field, and mainly this is a dating app where you list like your sexual kinks and desires. Yeah, I know. So I matched with this blonde woman on Field. She says she's from London. She's beautiful. If you know me, you know that I love an English accent. I am set. Let's do this thing. So we're chatting, and me being dumb and naive, she asks, oh, whereabouts are you? I give her the name of my neighborhood thinking it's a neighborhood, where specifically where I was staying, the name of my neighborhood is extremely specific to a single block. I didn't know that at the time. Send it to her. She goes, oh my gosh, we're so close. Let's meet here. It is like a Saturday afternoon. It's like 2 p.m. So I go meet this person at this rooftop that's like across the river. And I walk up the stairs and I'm like looking on this rooftop and like, I'm not seeing this girl. And I'm like, and then this person stands up and starts waving their arms at me. And when I say I got catfished, I got catfished. Not the same person at all. In the slightest. She was blonde, but that's about it. And I'm immediately like, oh my God, what do I do? And this person had gotten there before me and had already ordered me a drink. And I hate secondhand embarrassment, and I am too nice to just turn around and walk away. So I walk over there and I say hi, and I like act like nothing is wrong. That's on me. I shouldn't have done that. We're sitting down and we're chatting, and like, I'm thinking in my head, like, how do I, like, get out of this? How do I tell her, like, she just catfished me? And she proceeds to tell me a story about another date she went on where a guy called her out, and then she tells me how she followed him home and harassed him the whole way home. So instantly, I am like, I can't say anything because I don't want this person to follow me back to my boss's apartment where I'm temporarily staying. So I sit there and I make small talk with this woman, and then like I finish my drink and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go down and like get us a couple more. Do you want something? She's like, yes. So this is so bad. So I start walking down the stairs and I take off sprinting. Like I legit am sprinting full speed. Like I run down the stairs, I turn the corner, and I'm sprinting down this long winding sidewalk that leads to a bridge that crosses over the river. I sprint until I cross that bridge. I'm like, okay, whatever, that's done. Lo and behold, that evening comes. I'm sitting in this living room of this beautiful apartment building, and I'm playing video games. And keep in mind, floor to ceiling windows. Everyone who walks by can see in. I don't know. I played till like midnight, 1 o'clock. I don't know. I go, I shut the blinds, go to the back, go to sleep. Sunday morning, I wake up and I take my day nice and slow, have a late coffee in. I'm cuddling in bed with Ernie. I don't know, maybe 11 o'clock rolls around. And I'm like, I should probably let my dog out, go for a walk. I open up the door and the entire front of the apartment has been egged. I then turn around and I shut the front door, and there is a giant sign on the front door that says, Rob, your smells like prawns, you American ass. I have heard, I don't remember exactly what it said, but it said something along those lines. I'm mortified. I rip the sign down, I go back inside, I shut all of the blinds, and I'm thinking, I've met my boss's neighbors. I've met my boss's neighbors' kids. This sign has been up all night and all morning. How many people have seen it? This is a pedestrian walkway with hundreds of bikes parked here. Hundreds and hundreds of people have walked past this, seen this sign, and I'm like, what do I do? I call my boss. I tell her. I'm mortified. We have a really good relationship, and I tell her, and I'm mortified. And she says, oh, honey, it's okay, blah, blah, blah. She I'm like, please talk to your neighbors and tell her, like, tell them that this is not a true story. I go outside, I clean this up, like, as there's nobody walking. Like, I'm looking outside. Okay, nobody's here. Go out, scrub, come back in if I see somebody walking. I literally do not leave that apartment for, like, the next couple of weeks unless it's, like, super early in the morning or late at night because I'm that embarrassed and that mortified. That is the worst first date I've ever been on.
This was by far the scariest moment I ever had. I matched with this girl. She was from Houston. Best way to describe her was Michelle Pfeiffer in Scarface. Very petite, short hair, really beautiful. And we started talking. We matched. We went to this place in Laguna Beach, had a couple margaritas, and we're having a great time. Everything was off to a great start. Then we made ourselves down to the other bar, which is called the Saloon. And for those who are Orange County locals, or actually who don't know, the Saloon is like this little quaint bar in Laguna Beach. It's got an amazing, cool little vibe to it. Comes out of the bathroom, and we're sitting in like this little corner booth, if you will. So she sits down, and something happened. Like her mood was off. It went from, hugging, kissing, holding hands to just like sweaty, like nervous. Something was off. So she looks at me and she's like, there's something I have to tell you. And I was like, oh God. I was like, let me see, let me look at the wedding ring finger because I failed to look at it. I didn't see a tan line. And she's getting really nervous. Like, I'm talking like sweaty, like to the point where like she had a fever, like that type of sweating. And I'm not talking Christopher Walken, I got a fever. She was like literally like sweating balls if she had any. So anyway, she's sweating and she's like, I got something to tell you. I was like, okay. And she looks at me and she said, I didn't move from Houston to OC for work. I fled Houston to OC for my ex. And I was like, you fled? I was like, what do you mean by that? And then she started sweating even more. She was looking behind her back, like looking behind her shoulder, looking everywhere. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? She said, my husband is one of the members of the cartel. I was like, sure. I was like, of course. But she was serious. And after like a couple seconds, I was like, oh, like, are you fucking for real? Like, for real? Like the Mexican cartel? And she was like, just yes. She's like, I fled here. I got a text message from my mom when I was in the bathroom that they're looking for her. And I was like, wait, whoa. I was like, no wonder you're in the bathroom that long. So when I heard that, my heart was pounding. Like I was getting freaking nervous because Mexican cartel, I mean, that's kind of like the Mexican CIA, if you will, right? I was like, what the hell? I was like, I gotta go. I have to leave. So what did I do? I didn't even hug her. I didn't even kiss her. I just said goodbye and I'm running. So again, For those who live in Laguna Beach and OC, like I was literally running into the little arcade hallway right past the gelato stand. Like I'm sprinting for my car, sprinting. I am running so fast. And as I get to my car, I notice that there's a white Crown, those Ford undercover police cars. I see two dudes, Mexican dudes. They're about maybe 3 cars down where I'm at. And I'm like, oh God. I was like, please tell me that they are not going to follow me. So I get in my car and I have my phone out and I'm texting, calling my ex-wife, because this is about like 10:30 at night on, I think it was like on Monday or Tuesday. I'm calling, I'm texting my wife. No one's picking up. I'm freaking out. So I start my car and I am gunning out of the parking garage. Like literally I could have hit like 5 or 6 cars on the way out, but no, I was literally driving for my life, driving for my kid's life, because I was actually heading out of Laguna Beach on my way to go see my kids. So I kept telling myself, kept looking in my rearview mirror just to see if I was being tailed. Luckily, I didn't see anyone. So finally, she picks up, and you can tell she's in that REM cycle, and she's like, "Hello." I was like, "I need you to check on the kids. Please go check on them right now. Don't ask me any questions, but go check on them." And she's freaking out. I said, "What is this about?" I said, "Please just go check on them." So she puts me on hold. She goes into the room and tells me, "Yes, both kids are sleeping. Everything's fine." And then she's asking me, like, "What's going on?" I said, "Nothing. Everything's fine. I just had a bad dream, and I just want to make sure the kids are okay." I didn't tell my ex-wife that story, but I'm sure this may pick up, and she'll probably hear this. That's probably why I woke you up, just so you know. But yeah, that was by far the scariest story I had.
Hey guys, part 2 of My Life is Not Real, and I'm going to be giving you guys story times to show you guys that my life is not real. So, a year ago right now, freshman year of college, Provo, Utah, all the things, and I was on Mutual, which I don't know if it's as popular right now, but at the time was the thing. So I matched with this guy. I think he's super cute. I'm super excited. I was like, okay, wait, I'm super excited to go on a date with you. He asks me out, and I'm like, hey, can we do a double date? Because first dates, I always get nervous. I always ask to do a double date. And we'll say this guy's name is John. Okay. So we go on this double date. It was super fun. We went and played pickleball. I was like super into him, actually. Like, I thought it was super fun. We got along great. It was going great. Next day, I had a different date with a different guy from Mutual again. But I was like, John had asked me after our first date, he was like, hey, can we hang out again tomorrow? Can we go on another date tomorrow? And I was like, oh, yeah. So I canceled my other date to go with John, which ended up being fine. It wasn't a big deal. But I go with John. I'm super excited. We go get food. We come back to my house. And, like, I was like, I'm super into this guy. Like, this is super fun. I think he was going on, like, a hunting trip the next day or something. So we, like, went to the store. Like, we were just hanging out, having a good time. I was like, okay, I'm into this guy. Like, he's super cute, whatever. So then that night we kissed. It was great. I was super excited. I was like, this guy, I'm starting to really like him. He's awesome. And then a few days later, or I think it was like the next week, because he had gone on that hunting trip that weekend. I think this is the timeline. And then the next week, we hung out again. We kissed again. It was all great. We were like talking at this point. Like, at least that's what I was under the impression of that. We're talking, it's great, it's going good, whatever. And me and him had gone to the same gym, and one time I saw him at the gym, and we, like, started working out together a little bit, and then we left together and hung out, and it was great, So then the next time I met at the gym, I saw him there, but I, like, didn't talk to him, and I don't think he saw me, okay? But I was, like, after I finished my workout and I left, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna call him to see what he's doing tonight. Guys, this is where it all goes wrong. So I call up John, and I'm like, hey, John, like, how are you doing? And he's like, who is this? And I was like, what do you mean, who is this? Mind you, we're texting and snapping. And I'm calling him, and I'm like, do you not have my number saved? We've been on, guys, my name is Jillian, okay? Jillian, okay? Just for preface of the story. So I call John, and I'm like, hey, how are you? Like, what are you doing tonight? And he was like, who is this? And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, do you not have my number saved? He was like, no. He was like, oh, is this Kat? I was like, no, it's not Kat. He was like, oh, he goes, no, I know this is Julia. This is Julia. I was speechless. I literally was like, what? And then I was like, no, neither of those. And he was like, oh, this is really awkward. Like, you should tell me who you are. And I was like, no, like, I just want to see. Like, he keeps guessing. He goes, oh, this is Julia. I know this is Julia. Guys, I have never been called Julia in my life. I've been called Jilly. I've been called Jill, Jillian, Julia. Never once. Not once. So then I was like, there's absolutely no way. I was like, no way. And I just was like kind of like laughing at this point. Because I was like, this has to not be real. Like, there's no way. We were kissing yesterday. Like, what? Anyways, I was like, there's no way. And he just was like, this is really awkward. He was like, wait, what's your name? And I was like, it's Jillian. And he was like, oh, yeah, like, that's what I meant. Kat? And I was like, honestly, so then he was like, sorry, I actually can't do something tonight. And I was like, I didn't ask you to do something tonight. I just asked what you were doing. Don't act like I asked you to hang out. I'm not dropping that low. Anyways, I mean, I was going to. I was planning on it. I was planning to ask him to hang out, but I only had asked him what he was doing. So, that's, like, give myself that. He was like, but we can do something next week or tomorrow or something. And I was like, no, I'm okay. Bye. Bye, John. Hung up. So then after that humiliation of an experience, which honestly, I don't know if it's more humiliating for me or him. Awful. It was so awkward. He kept reaching out, kept trying to talk to me, whatever. And then I like can give a part 2. You guys want a part 2 of what I ended up doing. But anyways, that's one of my Provo horror stories that wasn't real, and I'm still to this day in shock about it. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you want a part 2 to that story.
This man didn't know my last name, didn't know what company I worked for. He was already, at this point, he was already blocked on everything. Somehow he found the company that I worked for, found my work email, and decided to send me a novel at midnight. And let me tell you how we got to this point. So we agreed on a place to go eat. Okay, cool. We get there. I'm dressed normal, whatever, it was nice weather. He shows up in a whole suit, which I thought it was extremely odd, but nonetheless. I thought he had made reservations. He did not, so there was a huge line for this place. So he's like, okay, let's go to this other place. We end up at this Mexican restaurant. We sit down. We're having a great conversation at first. Then he proceeds to tell me, we end up talking about, you know, like our dating history and all that. And he tells me how on one of his dates, this girl got up and I guess they were having dessert. That's what he said. We were having dessert and literally I turned to my right and she is gone. He's like, he just started bad mouthing her. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, like, something's missing. Like, that doesn't add up, right? Like, no girl does that. Like, you have to give a girl a reason to just literally fucking run away. Little did I know. So I'm like, okay, whatever, we continue the conversation. I didn't dwell on that topic too much. But yeah, so he insists on telling me and making like racist jokes, talking about like Nazi this and like Jewish people this and like all this shit that he like did to other dates that he thought was funny, but they didn't take it as such. And at this point I'm already uncomfortable. So he's like, oh, you know, it looks like you're taking it well. And at that point I'm like, oh God, like I hope he doesn't fucking kill me. So I'm just like literally just waiting for like us to finish eating. And then the date gets there. I'm like, okay, you know, I have to walk back to my car. Thank you for everything. He's like, no, like, let me walk with you. He's like, I'm actually heading the same way because I had parked my car a few blocks away. And I'm like, okay. So we're walking together and he's like, hey, by the way, can you drop me off of my house? And I'm like, where do you live? And he goes, I live in the Gold Coast. And if you're not from Chicago, that's one of like the neighborhoods in downtown. So it's a really nice area. It's an expensive area. And in my brain, I'm like, there's no fucking way. I'm not gonna get in the car. I'm not gonna be in the same car as this man that I don't even fucking know. I already felt uncomfortable as it is. So we're walking and we see a movie theater. He's like, hey, he's like, I really have to use the restroom. He's like, should we just go into this theater? And I'm like, okay, great. So we get in there and I'm using the restroom. And I guess I didn't let him know or something. He proceeds to blow me up. I'm talking like 10 calls in a matter of like me using the restroom for like 5 minutes. And he starts like texting me and all this shit and like alarming stuff. And I was like, oh, no. I'm like, nope. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I think that it's best if you just find your own way back. So he proceeds to still blow me up. And at this point, like the way that the restrooms were in the theater, it's like if I were to get out and he was gonna get out, like we would have seen each other. And I'm just there waiting and I'm just like, oh my God, like this, like I really thought that this man was gonna pull up to the women's restroom. And I'm just like, oh my God. So I timed it right. I get out of the restroom and I go inside where one of the movies is playing. And I'm just like sitting there like this, like all slouched. Because at this point, like everything that this man had told me by that point, I'm like, he's going to fucking find me. So he's still calling me and I'm just like, so I only texted him that one time saying, hey, like it's best if, you just find like your own ride. So whatever, at this point, like I'm already alarmed. So I'm like, oh my God, like there's only one exit. So I finally see an employee and he's like, hey, like, is everything okay? And I'm like, no, like I kind of tell him what's going on. And I'm like, hey, like this is what he looks like. Is he still out there? And he's like, yeah, he's still out there. And I'm like, oh my God, like I don't know what to do. And he's like, hey, there's an employee entrance and exit. He's like, if you want, I can walk with you. I can take you down that path. And I'm like, oh my God, you're such a saint. Thank you so much. So he walks me out the back and I assumed that this guy was going to be in front of like the movie theater, and where my car was parked, it was like you could see the theater. And I'm like, this man is going to fucking see me and then I am so fucked. So the employee, he was so sweet. He's like, I'm going to walk you. He's like, don't worry. He's like, I'll look around. He's like, let's just go straight for your car. I get in my car and my car is like super fucking obvious because it has a bumper sticker that says real estate. And this guy, the employee, he's just like watching and looking out for me. And I get in my car and I'm like, can you just please like just watch me drive off? Because at this point I thought that this man was capable of anything and everything. So, and what that email said was creepy as shit. This man was talking about what could have been, our future together, all this stuff. Oh, you're amazing. This is what we're capable of. And I just like blacked out. So I had to block him on that too, which I've never done. But these dating horror stories are no joke, especially for women. So yeah, there's a few more, not as bad, thankfully. But yeah, it's tough out here for a girl.
Tell the truth, I look better under you. I can't lose when I'm with you.
This claims to reduce fine lines, relieve puffiness, and brighten dark circles. Disclaimer, results may vary depending on skin type.
I've realized you just can't trust anyone on the dating apps. I don't usually come on here and talk about dating life or the dating apps or anything like that, but I feel like I need to tell everyone about this story. It's the most bizarre thing to me, and I kind of want to see if it's happened to anyone else. Basically, long story short, I had been communicating with this guy on Hinge for about a week or so. We went from Hinge to like communicating via text. I really honestly didn't think that I needed to have him on social media only because we were communicating consistently through text message, and having me on Instagram or like Facebook or whatever really wasn't going to change much. But basically we were talking through text, we organised a date, and he even confirmed the location, confirmed the time, and he suggested the location. So I'd never actually been to this place before. When it got to the day of, everything was fine. We were communicating like normal. And he did say to me that we would meet at 7:30, but in the afternoon, he was like, I have to leave work late, so I probably won't get there till before 8. Totally fine, didn't have a problem with that. When it was like later in the afternoon and I was like kind of getting ready to go, he did make a comment saying that he had to go to work like the next day, which I then was like, oh, like, is he implying subtly that he like doesn't really want to go out? By the way, this was on a Friday, so he had work on the Saturday. At like last minute, he said that he had to work. So I just said, like, are you still cool to do tonight? Like, if not, totally fine. And he literally replied with, yes, of course. I'll be there. Anyways, I was talking to my friend. I said, I feel like I'm going to be ghosted. And she's like, no, don't. You're thinking negatively because you're just nervous. And I was like, you know what? True. Anyways, he messages me and says, look, I'm going to be there right before 8. I'm like, okay, sweet. It's 20 minutes for him to get there and it's 20 minutes for me. So we're literally meeting in the middle. So also, I've never been to this place before. And he told me that the venue was limited in their car spots. So he suggested that I park at the McDonald's across the street. I just confirmed with him that he was parking there and he said yes, blah, 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 blah. So I get there a little bit before 8 and I message him and I said, hey, I'm here, let me know when you're here and I'll walk across. It took him a good few minutes to reply, but he said the weirdest comment. In my opinion, I thought it was weird. He replied and he said, I'm here, if you like, walk across. I just don't understand the if you like, because I was clearly there because I wanted to be there, but it just didn't make sense. It was a bit weird. So I literally walked across and I was in the entrance and I said, okay, where are you? He replied pretty much straight away and said, I had to park out the back. There was no car spots at Macca's. But I'm telling you, there was like 10 plus car parks at Macca's. Like, I was parked there, I think I would know. But I kind of just left it and was just like, whatever. And then I replied and I said, okay, well, I'm at the entrance. Then 10 minutes went by and I'm literally waiting there. This guy said he was at the back. So I was like, how long does it take for you to get from the back car park to the front? And I call my friend and I said, this is weird. Like, I don't know what's happening. And she's like, call him. I felt really weird. I didn't want to look like I was clingy or over the top. So I just messaged him and I said, am I at the wrong spot? And my iMessage would not deliver. And that was when I just literally knew. I'm like, this guy's blocked me. And I looked on Hinge because, you know how sometimes it has like the location? I thought maybe he's updated it. No, he's unmatched me on Hinge. So I tried calling him and it just went straight to voicemail. So that really just confirmed everything. He's blocked me and he's ghosted me. My friend tried calling him and he would let the calls go through and her messages deliver. So I'm really not sure why he didn't block her, because she was like low-key abusing him, being like, why did you stand up my friend? But he blocked me with no explanation. I think what I'm most confused about is A, if he was even there, or B, whether he wasn't there and he just was planning on ghosting me the whole time. I don't understand why he made me walk into the venue. Why couldn't he have ghosted me or blocked me before I left? Also, I didn't think about this until when I got home, but I don't know whether he was there watching me and watched me walk inside. I still feel so uncomfortable about the whole situation, but I just want to know whether people actually have had that happen to them. Whether you've organised a date with someone and they've just bailed on you, but like have made you go to the venue and they just stand you up. I've been on the apps for a little while now and I've never experienced anything like this before. And to be honest, it's really turned me off because I feel like you just can't trust anyone. And I'm telling you, I didn't get any sort of inkling that this guy was like this. I thought he was really nice. We got along really well. And honestly, maybe he still is a really nice person. I just can't understand why anyone would do this to someone. It's way more hurtful having someone stand you up like that at the venue of where your date's meant to be than just telling you that you're not interested. Like, I'm 27 and I feel like I'm adult enough or mature enough to be like to someone, hey, I'm actually just not interested and I think like it's just not going to go anywhere. So I'm not really sure why males of the same age can't do the same thing. Also, I will say, I know it's not every single male, but this really has turned my experience on Hinge to a complete negative. Also, my friend is still not blocked. I'm still blocked. I don't even know what I did wrong. If you just didn't vibe me, just tell me. But if you are this individual and you know who you are and you're watching this, honestly, you should be ashamed and embarrassed because it's no way to treat someone. after standing me up on the date that you organised. Anyways, I just wanted to see if anyone else has experienced the same thing and whether we should collectively all get off Hinge.